Okay, I think we can start. I see no much more people coming in. Yeah? Okay, great. So welcome everybody to this roundtable. Today my name is Aude Pélisson-Schecker. I'm an innovation manager for energy technologies at the Karlsruhe Institute for Technology in the Tech Transfer Office in the Energy Center there. And I'm very pleased to welcome you to this roundtable today about how does green tech impact the cities of the future. So maybe you hear it already this morning or this afternoon. Cities play a pivotal role in shifting to a greener future. They account for 75% of global primary energy use, and they're responsible for 70% of energy-related greenhouse gas emission. So it's a very important place to make change for climate change. And some of you maybe know the last IPCC report that was released 8 days ago. And cities and urban areas are one of the key systems there where we need to act. Besides other systems like energy systems or buildings or transport, to see just those. So today we have 4 panelists to speak about this topic. So I'll just briefly introduce all of the 4 of you. Maybe I start from this end. So Philippe Rapin is co-founder in 2018 and CEO of the company Urban Radar. He is a long experience in public-private partnership, and he already has previous experience in startup creation 10 years ago. He has an international background in France, UK, USA, and your company offers third-party independent visualization, data analytics, and artificial intelligence platform to empower cities with full mobility data insights while keeping the private operators' data safe. Thank you for being there. Then I continue with Christoph Knecht. You're head of industry and grid tech at Quest for Change. You're senior engineer in mechatronics and you work in automotive previously companies as a technical manager, and also have previous experience in startup creation. Quest for Change is a network of 5 incubators in the French region Grand Est, including Semia, who I think many people know here because it's the startup incubator in Strasbourg and Mulhouse. And one major focus of this network are green startups, Tech for Green, with more than 40 green tech projects being currently managed and supported. Then I continue with you, so thank you for being there. I continue with you, David Coloma. He's a French engineer who worked many years at the European Institute, and still work actually at the European Institute for Energy Research, IFER, in Karlsruhe. And you created your startup 2019, named FETech, and you're the CEO of the startup, yeah? The core expertise of FETech is on hydrogen as a low carbon energy carrier to store renewable energy, decarbonize our industry and develop sustainable electric mobility. And you're more specifically working on the compressor technology for hydrogen storage and charging station. So thank you. And our speaker today, Stefan Beck. He studied mechanical engineer and industrial engineering at the Technical University of Darmstadt. And you joined Green Venturi for your master's thesis. First with Fraunhofer ISE and Karlsruhe Institute, Fraunhofer ISE, sorry. And Green Venturi is a startup from both the Fraunhofer Institute ISE and Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. Green Venturi supports the plannings of cities, how to transform into a carbon neutral system and accelerate the energy transition. And you developed a Google Maps of energy, I like the term, a software as a service solution that digitally maps energy systems for cities, energy utilities and grid operators. And you specifically work now as a data scientist, and you focus on modeling the hydrogen energy system. Thank you for being there. So that was our 4 panelists, and I will start with a small question for all of them, being in one word, what is, according to you, the main challenge for cities to shift to a greener future? So I don't know who wants to start, okay?
One word only?
Yeah.
Then I'll go with capacity, or missing capacity.
Missing capacity, okay. David?
I have to say 2, energy supply and mobility.
Okay.
An additional one, high density and big data.
Okay. And the last one?
No, I'm going to do the second word. I'm going to take its capacity from the city to actually be able to move towards a green transition.
Okay. So I think we have very important keywords for the discussion, and we're going to illustrate a little bit why you've chosen those keywords in the next questions then. I'd like to start with a focus on the technology and maybe introduce a little bit the public here and people looking at us right now about what technology you're working on and how maybe the story starts for all of you with those technologies and what is your role in this transition in the cities. So I don't know, do you want to start?
Sure.
Radha?
So the technology we work on is how to help city better plan using data from multiple mobility sources. So essentially, how can they plan for a better green future with a better knowledge? And we focus on mobility of people, but also of logistics of goods. So about logistics, which is how can we try to answer the question of how can we minimize the impact of logistics while the volumes are just increasing like crazy? Do you want me to expand on our technology or?
No, I think it's good to have the introduction.
Okay.
Maybe,
sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Maybe Christophe, you want to do next, or the ones having a specific technology?
Sure.
Yeah.
So just maybe to introduce what we do. 10 years ago, we were contacted by a French company, La Poste, and they had a problem which sounds crazy, but which is actually a real one. They had a lot of photovoltaic panels installed on their buildings. They also had a lot of electric cars. So they said, hey, great, let's use our photovoltaic energy to recharge our cars. Problem, it doesn't work. Why? Because the cars are driving when the sun is shining. And this will never change, no matter what we progress on batteries, on panels or whatever. And this highlights a very simple fact. Moving to green energies requires storage capacities of energy in order to be able to decorrelate the production and the use cases, because you don't want to force people to drive at night just because the sun is shining during the day. So, and one solution for bringing storage capacities within the energy system is hydrogen. And that's when we started to make hydrogen. So you can produce hydrogen during the day with your photovoltaic and then recharge your cars with hydrogen anytime during the day or during the night or whenever you want. And that is one part of the solution. Of course, it's not the entire solution, but that's one part of the solution to make the energy system greener. And so we decided to work on hydrogen. And if you want me to explain more the technologies we do, I'll be more than happy to do so.
Thank you. Maybe you can introduce a little bit on which technology side you are and...
Yeah, well, first, thanks a lot for the introduction. And yeah, I see quite some connection points with Philippe here. So same kind of broad issues. Cities want to be more renewable, want to be more sustainable, want to reduce their carbon footprints, but often they're kind of missing the tools, the know-how to do it. And that's where we from Greenventory come in. And we support cities with the tools they need to get there, to decide which methods, which approaches they can use to be more renewable. Because there's a huge variety of things they can do, renewable energy, renewable heat, e-mobility, hydrogen infrastructure as well is an important one. And we use geographic data, Earth observation data, statistical data to assess the current situation in a city, like how's the inventory, and then based on that, assess the potential usage of different renewable energy technologies within a city and the locations of those.
Thank you. So, Christoph, can you maybe complete on that? You have 40 projects in green techs. What are other topics are covered by those projects in relation to cities?
We talk some kinds of issues faced by cities. It's not an exhaustive list, but we can add 4 other points, other pain points that can be fixed by startups. The first one can be mobility first, have a green mobility. So we have some startups working on new solution of mobility. This is the first pain point. The other pain point can be also the waste treatment. We have some startups working on how to treat your bio-waste, or even building of construction or the construction waste. So this is a second point. The next point that some startups are also working on is about drinkable water pollution and not pollution, leakage, just to fix so many leakage for the underground water distribution. So this is also a problem to fix. And the last one, but it's not exhaustive, the last one can be also the river pollution. So to collect the plastic parts and pollution into the river, into the city. So that's 4 other pain points that some startups are working on and fix this problem.
So we have a very wide range of technology. So the panelists may be more focused on mobility application, but indeed there are many more topics related to the city. Yeah? Thank you. And now that we're speaking with you, maybe you can explain us a little bit how the ecosystem in the cities looks like, maybe the value chain also, and how you see these startups, these green tech startups in this ecosystem.
So to going on, yes, Quest for Change is an incubator, so we support projects from the idea, not more the idea, but the prototypes, to the first demonstrator and the earlier player, the earlier adopters of the solution. For green tech, what is strange is green tech is not a specific technology like health, like industry in general. Green tech is something complex, really complex. And for startups, what is really difficult into the ecosystem for the green tech is to be able to discuss with this complex ecosystem, but because there are many stakeholders into this ecosystem. And for urban mobility, for example, I think that you can add some comments to this. It's really difficult to find the right people to convince, to get the pain point and to convince that you have the solution to fix this pain point. So this is a big issue for the ecosystem, for green tech. And in cities, moreover.
So, I don't know, do you want to react directly?
Yeah, thank you for, for building on this. So yeah, the way we see it, even in mobility, like green tech is horizontal, and all new technology comes into a city from an horizontal point of view. So what are the key people to make it successful? The way we work at Urban Radar is we will need, like anything in cities actually, strong political leadership, because that's at the end of the day who will call the shots for decision budgets and budgets for implementation. But at the same time, we need extremely strong technical operational teams who will understand, who will be innovative, who will be willing to actually fight internally to bring innovation. That's what we see. And then who will also have the skills to build the bridges on a horizontal level within the city or the municipality. The good news is I'm actually impressed how quickly cities, municipalities and government are ramping up in this type of skills. We have an increasing number of extremely good technical people in cities who grasp these challenges. and who are willing to do the extra mile. So that's extremely, I don't know if you guys see it as well, but it's something extremely positive. And obviously kudos to Strasbourg, who is one of them, with fantastic people. I can expand more into the details of how we approach cities, but that's roughly how we see it.
So what is your position in the ecosystem? Maybe you can also explain us.
Yeah, maybe first of all, I would want to agree with Philippe in the first part you said, that strong political leadership is kind of the basis of everything. And one example of that is for example, in Germany now 4 federal states have laws that every city, every municipality needs to create a heat plan. So they need to create a plan on how they decide how their heat production is going to be renewable. And this is basically one of the big bases for one of our products, which is municipal heat planning. And without that political leadership, that would not exist. So definitely agree on that they provide lots of, the foundation, basically. So always strong political leadership is needed, but also citizen participation. Where do we see ourselves in the ecosystem? Well, right in the middle. Like we're kind of, for example, one of our tools is a PV planner where citizens can look at their house and can kind of see what would be their return in implementing rooftop PV photovoltaic on their roofs. So it's kind of connecting all these different stakeholders, the citizens, the cities, but also the energy utilities and the grid operators, which are the ones that operate the grid.
Okay, thank you. And you're maybe in a little bit different position than Urban Radar and Green Venturi in the ecosystem, more from the technology side, maybe. Can you comment on it?
Yeah, basically we are the boring machine manufacturers here. So we are those who are making some of the main components of the hydrogen value chain. I don't want to go too far into details because everybody will sleep. But basically in the hydrogen chain, you need to first produce hydrogen, and then for most of the use cases, you need to compress this hydrogen to bring it into the end use. Especially in hydrogen refueling stations, for example, if you want to feed hydrogen buses or trucks or trains or whatever with hydrogen, you need to compress this hydrogen, and we are basically building these compressors. We decided conscientiously to go into this step of the value chain for at least 2 reasons. First of all, for the energy transition, because we need hardware. We obviously do not only need hardware, we need a lot of other things, services of course, but also social acceptance, but training, etc., etc. But we need hardware, that's for sure. That's one reason in order to make this transition succeed. And the second one is a rather social reason. The energy transition will contribute to destroy millions of existing industrial jobs in the diesel industry, in different sectors. And if we do not find ways to create millions of new jobs, and it's really the order of magnitudes, we are speaking of millions of jobs that need to be created, then this energy transition is not socially acceptable. How should we explain to someone working today in a diesel factory that he will lose his job, but that's good for the planet, please do so? That's of course not possible. So we need to give them, we need to provide them alternative green jobs. And one very important sector to create these jobs is of course the industry. So we need new industries, a new field of industrial excellence, of course, that are green and that are also creating value for replacing the existing one. So that's why we are in the industry, proudly industrial people, and we want to make machines for the industry, for the energy transition with our compressors.
Do you work directly with the cities, or do you have some good partners? I think you work with some bigger companies, maybe. Can you comment also on the role of those companies?
Yeah, that is a very important point. We have both. We have cities and our public companies and cities, which are our clients, but we also have industrial companies. One of them is a very local one. It's RGDS, the local utility of Strasbourg. as we have the chance here to have let's say a French Stadtwerk in Strasbourg, for historical reasons. And this is a very important point because one way to develop industrial companies is to build on corporate deals. So collaborations, very intensive collaborations between small startups like we are and bigger industrial groups that bring, of course, experience, stability, financial means, etc., which of course are very important to develop industrial solutions. So we are very happy to work with bigger industrial companies, especially RGDS in Strasbourg.
And maybe Christophe, you can also tell us, is it tech pool, is it market tech push or market pool, or is it also comment on the maybe the business model, B2B, B2C, B2 government, business to government?
Yeah, what is interesting in your question is that today for cities, are we in a tech to push or a market push? So it's a good question for cities' needs. And what I can say is that we have not so much startups working on cities' problem today. For sure, I think that we have in our portfolio maybe 5, 4, not more. Why? First, I think that startups are not aware. We are not aware about. We are not really aware about what are the issues for the cities. It's not simple to identify the list of issues on which we can work and give technological solutions. So this is one point. And on the other point, I think that researchers, labs, I think are not really working on issues, green tech issues for the cities. It's not well known, or we have some issues to get them out of the labs and to set up solutions, startups for the cities. So yes, today for the green tech for cities, it's not only a tech to push because we don't have all the technological to push, and it's not also a market to push because we don't have the issues coming from the cities. So we have to work on and to make cities and labs working together to define what are the future issues to fix and to hope that new startups will grow up and answer to this pain point.
So it's where we have actors like Radar and Green Ventory coming for the diagnostic and explaining then or make a diagnostic what is the market need there. So maybe you can explain us a little bit where you are right now, both of you, what stage of development of your product, and what are the next plans for the expansion, for the market penetration.
So any startup aims for global domination, so that's what it is. But going to what you were saying, Christophe, is it's true, like green tech, startups or innovation for cities is a challenge. Especially because it's very difficult to have a single use case. Typically, innovation startups will work on, you have one use case, one product, you develop it, you sell it, you scale. That's a typical model. With cities or government, every city roughly has the same challenges at the end of the day: environmental, congestion, social equity, safety. But every one of them will express it from a different angle, from a different priority, whether it's, again, political, technical. Or, so we have constantly, beyond the tech, the challenge is the ability to answer multiple use cases that meet the city's demand. And that's how the technology can come into cities. So what we do, which I shouldn't say that being a tech startup, is the tech, at least for us, it's, to me, I'm not the tech guy, so the tech is the easy part as far as I'm concerned. But if we were, I know it's not for you, but for us, it's roughly the easy part. But the real challenge is if we were just providing our tech to cities, and so what? What would they do with it? It would be totally useless. So the real challenge is the acceptability, having people in the city using our tech depending on the use cases they need. And that's where we spend a lot of time actually working on the use case, co-developing solution with cities in a way, and always keeping in mind that it needs to be scalable. So initially, the way we look at things at Urban Radar is we actually started a company in San Francisco 3-4 years ago. Then we relocated in France, in the region, in the East region, 3 years ago to focus on the French market and the European market. Because the European market, when it's about green tech, for us it's a much better market. We're obviously European in the company, so it's also helpful to understand the challenges. But then at European level, we kind of see it as one market. It's fairly similar throughout Europe. So I've answered many questions in this, but I hope it helps.
So you're deploying right now your solution?
Yes, our maturity. Sorry, I knew I forgot something. So maturity, we are deployed. We are deployed in about 15 cities. We work in Portugal, Spain, Germany, France, Belgium, and Denmark. We have 3 products talking about multiple use cases and so on, especially looking at mobility. If we only had one single product, it wouldn't work because we would have to go everywhere to find someone who wants to buy it. So instead, we have multiple products that cover the pain point of understanding logistics for planning purposes. And then within that, we have the products target multiple pain points. So in terms of maturity, I would say, I don't know, say we are in post-seed, seed A round, so we are commercially viable, but we need to increase our growth. We're 15 people in the company.
Thank you. How does it look like at Green Inventory?
Yeah, quite comparably. Maybe I'll start with the technological maturity. So we have a very intersectoral approach, right? So we don't focus on one single topic, but on all of the topics that are relevant in the city. So renewable energy, solar, wind, biomass, heating, a little bit of mobility, e-mobility as well. Hydrogen is an upcoming part of area of focus. And every area kind of has a different maturity. So we have products in like the PV area are rather mature, it's basically market ready. Same goes for heating, but then again, hydrogen, for example, is in its baby shoes, I want to say, so still in development. So basically from like all the different areas we focus on, the maturity really differs a lot. And it also differs depending on the, I guess, market pull, you could say in that sense, that's created not by the market, but by the political leadership. Basically what I was saying before, it's hard to have a market pull from cities. But if there's a political leadership, if there's the laws within a city, within a county, a state, as there is in Germany, I'm not sure about the political landscape in France, but in Germany we're very fortunate that like several federal states have put these laws into place that basically force cities to implement certain renewable energy technologies and plan on how to continue there. And that basically created this, I want to call it political push that basically enables our technologies and thus make our different technologies, depending on the political push, differently market ready as well.
So can we understand it in the way that maybe mobility is a pain point, so for you it's very easy, but for you you need to have the further framework actually to push the cities to act on energy topics?
I mean, most cities want to do it anyways, and they want to reach the goals, and they're often just needing the tools to do so. So there's not necessarily a full political framework needed because many cities just want to do it by themselves. But then again, the cities we're working with, and we had really good experiences with all the cities and also energy utilities and grid operators we worked with. Those are the ones that actually want to do it. So then the question is the ones we don't work with, like that's the dark number we don't know about, right? But yeah, we're working with dozens of cities, of energy utilities and grid operators. So not only cities, but also grid operators, and those have a much more monetary incentive as well to shift to certain renewable energies that are much cheaper now than using conventional energies.
Okay, and about your deployment right now, how does it look like? You're in Germany?
Exactly. So right now, I want to say most of our projects, if not all right now, are within Germany, all over Germany. And I think we did one green roof project in Spain as well. And the goal is in the future to expand. As you said in the beginning, we want to become the Google Maps of energy. Google Maps is global. So in the future, that's the big vision, right? It's what you were saying, every startup wants to become global, and yeah, but right now we're still focusing in Germany, but the goal is definitely to expand, first of all in Europe and then globally.
Okay. And I think for you the situation looks a little bit different because you start from the other side, from the technology side. So how does it look like from the maturity you plan for a scale up for your technology? Can you explain us where you are right now?
Yes, so what we do can be qualified as deep tech. I don't know, yeah, that's written here. And one of the characteristics of deep tech is that they need time. And here that's maybe also a message I'd like to share is that we sometimes get confused or mix up the need of moving fast with the mistake of short-term visions. Not because we need to move fast, we can allow ourselves to miss the long-term vision. And that is something that the industry particularly needs, because when we start developing a machine, and especially a deep tech machine, but some of my colleagues in the med tech, they have even much longer time frames than we do. As far as we are concerned, we started our developments in 2014, so that's already 8 years ago. And we are currently reaching the level of TRL 7, which basically means commercial demonstration. So I guess for some IT industries, the ramp up from TRL 0 to TRL 7 can happen in a few months or maybe in 1 or 2 years. I don't know what you think, guys. In industry, it's of course not the case. So we basically win 1 point of TRL per year, more or less. And the last ones are the longest to get, because that's the fine-tuning one that when the product seems to work and when it does really work, it's actually the time when you start getting your CE certification, scaling up the production capacities and so on and so forth. And that is the most capex intensive and the longest efforts to do. So today we already build machines of 20 tons, like they are 20-foot containers. They are like that big, as big as this stage, more or less, or as long at least. So we are already quite well advanced for a small team. We are 11 people today, and we are building our first machines for our first customers. But of course, the very last part of the development, the serial production, is a very challenging one, and that will probably take still a couple of years.
So how does deployment look like for you? So you've got demonstrators in several cities, or are you?
Yeah. So basically,
Okay.
we've had already two machines being demonstrated. We have currently 2 in the production phase for 2 different cities, Strasbourg and Center France Tours, and we have advanced commercial negotiations with different places in Spain, France, Benelux, and hopefully soon Germany. That's one of our. We would like to come back to the other side of the border as soon as possible. Yeah.
So maybe you can also tell us what you need, according to you, what is maybe your need for making really the difference to reach great success and to make the difference for the cities. So what is your experience on that?
So I think, so as far as the cities themselves are concerned, I think we need a very strong understanding of what cities need, and actually it's very true that it's not always easy especially for industrial startup to really understand the needs and the problematics of cities. Of course, thanks to our industrial partners and our public partners, we get to understand slowly but surely what are the challenges that cities are encountering. But I think there is a need for more interactions between industrial techs and cities, and for that, different existing solutions that are getting developed are very helpful, I guess. I believe. What we also need, again, and I come back to this point, is continuity, long-term vision. We cannot have a stop and go. We can't mix up the political time and the time of the energy transition. There is a need for a continuity in the commitments of the players. Fortunately, there are places where we have this continuity. I think in the Grand Est region, for example, there is a certain continuity we can really appreciate in the commitments toward supporting startups, toward supporting the development of green techs. But it is something that needs to be reinforced. Just to give you an example, 3 years ago, the word hydrogen was almost unknown in France at political scale, or people would say, well, that is some ironic people said it's a technology for the future and it will remain like that. In the meanwhile, a lot of stuff have happened, and there has been a very strong political momentum towards hydrogen, and we are very happy about it. But what we need is now to guarantee that this momentum, this dynamics is going to stay in the long term. And that is true for hydrogen, but I'm pretty sure it's the same for all other green techs. There is this need to be able to rely on the political and public-private partnerships must be stable over long time periods. That's probably what we need the most.
So I don't know who wants to comment, and maybe also one comment from my side in the preparation, where you tell me also you see a good synergy between the actors here in this round table, because you also need some part of diagnostic for you to know where to place your product in the city, and definitely it's good things that you've got guys taking care of this right now. I don't know if who of you two or three want to comment maybe on what is needed right now to accelerate the transition in the cities, and maybe for your business to be a great success.
So I agree with David on everything, but especially on the continuity that's needed, so predictability, and that to me leads to the big question of financing, of funding, because the challenge we face is working with cities. Green tech is, in a way, by definition, innovation, and therefore it has not. So there are a few things here. One, it has not been budgeted necessarily as part of the budgets of the city. It hasn't been defined either. So basically, the need hasn't been properly expressed yet. And therefore, it's very difficult to have allocated budget from the city for this type of projects. We all do. So there's one complexity, which is understanding what cities need. The second one is, therefore, once you get that, is okay, how do we get paid for it? Especially as we are startups, we usually, in a way, the definition is we don't necessarily make money. We don't have deep pockets behind us, so at some point innovation needs to be paid, and it's really difficult. Of course, if there are entrepreneurs here, Quest for Change is an amazing partner to support in this and to help startups. Which, by the way, it's true that the East region as well is a really good environment for green tech companies, because the different levels of financial supports are really, really helpful. At least for us, it's been amazing. So funding, to me, is really the challenge. And then it's all about, again, it's like navigating this funding, and it will not be, we sell a product. It's not straightforward, essentially.
Do you have similar experience, or what do you think would be needed for green inventory from you?
Similar and different at the same time. That I definitely agree. Political continuity is fundamental and important for deep tech startups, and especially in renewable energies. And when it comes to like high capital investments that you have, and like huge R&D costs, which we don't have as much, luckily, not luckily, but for our business models, I guess. But in terms of renewable energy, we as Green Venture are, again, quite lucky that there is this long-term commitment via the Paris Agreement, via the German Climate Change Act, and via all these different laws that federal states and cities already implemented. So they already committed long-term, which kind of gave us the business case we have right now. So in that sense, I guess we have a little bit different experiences because this political continuity or long-term plan already exists in terms of heat projects, for example. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, Christophe, if you want also to...
Just to add something,
yeah.
According to me, to make green tech a success, for sure cities have to manage the risk. That is really one point that we can share together, is how these startups get with the cities, convince them to do a demonstrator on a technology which is not fully implemented, in which there are still risks. This is a good challenge for startups now, is to convince these cities to manage the risk. And I think that many cities jump into the innovation. They are working on, like Strasbourg is an example. It's possible today to put a demonstrator in Strasbourg. But maybe one idea is that small cities maybe can be also interesting in jumping into innovation. And for sure, there's question of funds, there's question of feedback return, and so on and so on. But I think also that it will be easier for startups to work with small cities, less stakeholders, less impact, and so on. So maybe there is a way that big cities share with small cities and prove them that it's possible to manage the risk and to use green tech innovation for their citizens and for their cities.
A lot about replication and exchange of experience, learning from the others then, no?
In cities, yes.
Between cities, okay.
I may just react on what you say, because it's exactly the experience we did in hydrogen. The very first city of the Région Grand Est to implement hydrogen was the city of Sarreguemines, which is by far not the biggest city of the region. We could have expected that Strasbourg or, I don't know, Nancy or would be ahead of it, and yet it was these small cities of 50,000 inhabitants, including the surroundings, that managed to build the first hydrogen refueling station, because there was easier processes, because there was a strong and small team of technical guys that spoke directly to the responsible, to the political responsible locally, with a direct connection, and that enabled them to act quickly, even though they had far less financial means probably than bigger cities. So I fully support what you said.
Yeah, maybe if I can make a quick addition as well. We had very similar experiences as well, that often when we first tested out stuff, it was in demonstrator projects with cities that actually wanted to create that change. And by doing that, they create this waterfall reaction that other cities see that and they want to be like that as well, and want the product and want to be more renewable as well. So cities have kind of a role model position as well, in that they can be incubators of technology simply by applying them.
Okay, so this brings me to the last question. We need to conclude this roundtable. So do you think that cities, and maybe cities not equal to city, are catalyzer for the transition, energy transition, transition toward climate adaptation to climate change, and maybe some call to action if you want?
Oh, so my answer to this is a big yes. Of course, cities are essential because of the regulations. They have the power to steer all of the community towards a greener future. So it's a big yes, and clearly it needs to be, everybody's adapting. So it's a big yes, yeah. And yeah.
I would say yes also, cities and especially citizens. I think that citizens have to promote innovation, to be ready to accept new innovation. So one of the challenges is not only cities, is to also to focus on citizens and to promote innovation, green tech innovations to citizens.
Okay, David?
Nothing to add?
Do you
I
want to add?
completely agree as well. And on top of citizens, also it's important within cities to get all stakeholders together, to kind of get everyone in the same boat and activate the local stakeholders to show them the benefit they get as well. And by doing that, cities can certainly be the starter of like a more renewable deep tech world.
Okay, so thank you very much all for all these insights. You want to add something?
Yes, I forgot to say something, and we are, as part of the maturity of our company, because I see we are actively recruiting in Strasbourg. So if any of you you like green tech, impact cities, come contact me, and of course any other of the companies. I'm sure we all recruit, so please contact us for jobs opportunities. I think it's an exciting sector. We really have fun.
Same. If you like Freiburg.
And if you are a green tech startup, let's jump into a quest for change to support you.
Okay, so they all agree, they all want to have more people working on the topic. Thank you. So it's a big call for everybody. Thank you for all those insights, and yeah, have a nice day.